the newborn is.
She's been giving me some troubles the past couple days.
Yeah. And then we've just been busy too with business. We're like, that's a good place to be, and which is completely appropriate for the topic we're going to be talking about today. And we came up with our catchy little name of Schedule Your Sanity, and like how to schedule your daily schedule, how to schedule your daily schedule, how to plan your daily schedule. So you don't just
how to plan your days. So you're like not at the end of the day wondering where everything went and why you didn't cross off anything off your to-do list.
Yeah. And because that's just the way it can go sometimes. And so I did a couple posts on Instagram, and a few people messaged me on it and were like, this is literally me. Did you write this for me? And they're dog trainers, obviously. So I'm like, well, no, but I do know who I'm talking to when I say this, myself. So if anybody else is in the same boat, some people are the model of efficiency, but I think for all of us that enter into business and really are trying to figure out.
She does this every time where we start.
Like literally every night during the week, you put her to sleep and she's just asleep. And then she's like, Wednesdays. Fuck
because she knows I'm up here.
Cast. Yeah.
It's early.
Yeah. So with scheduling your sanity, or what we talked about was how to avoid your day just running away from you and people working incredibly long hours and not getting it done, not feeling like you got done, not because if you have multiple lists of things to do and you don't get them crossed off and you're not efficient and you weren't sure when you were going to eat lunch, or if you did eat lunch and you come home and you eat some like leftover food, heat it up really quick and just fall into bed and start over the next day. That's not why we're running businesses. Not to say that we're going to absolve ourselves from work, because you're not. It is work, and it's always going to be work. So what we have to do is, that's fine, because I'm actually going to read something. It was apropos because I'm on a couple dog trainer forums, whatever you want to call them. And so this one was appropriate, and I was sitting here thinking about this and how we all feel with these things. And to summarize and to capture this, I saw somebody post this, like it was so perfect, I guess you could say, because this is what it said. This is a Facebook post. Yes, I read your text. I read your text at 10 p.m. on a Sunday night because after the fourth one you sent, it woke me from increasingly tough to get sleep, and I was concerned there was a family emergency. In my assisted sleep state, I glanced at your message inquiring about puppy training, closed my phone, and put it back down without answering you. I eventually got back to sleep. In the morning, I woke up and did my normal routine of endless dog chores and coffee. Then it was time to start replying to the mountain of texts, messages, and emails, of which you were one. 8 a.m. Did I reply back to you first? No. Second? Nope. Third? No. You were 17th on the list. Were you 17th because I don't like you? No. 17th because I don't value your potential business? No. 17th because I'm lazy and don't return inquiries? No. You're 17th because I try to get back to people in the order they inquired. If a phone call is required, that's saved for time windows when I'm physically able to make a thoughtful phone call to listen to your problems. Awesome. You're 17th because there were others in this world that also contacted me before you. They too deserve a reply. So when at 9:30 a.m., less than 12 hours later, the next morning after you inquired, you sent me a rather rude message claiming I'd read and never responded to your message. Sir, I have a response to you. And then she goes on and says that, we're all busy and etc. I'm busy training dogs, cleaning, feeding, teaching, responding, running errands, and doing all the things people need to do in order to live, including eat and sleep. And so I thought that was a super, super appropriate post that somebody did when we're going to talk about that. And I think I read that before I'd come up with this idea, although this idea is really something that we've talked about a lot, and it kind of puzzle pieces in or fits in with last week's topic, which was I'm like, oh, this is where the fatigue sets in. Last week's topic was schedule a vacation. So scheduling yourself and making sure that You're scheduling time for yourself off away from your business, time for vacation. We talked a lot about how we schedule our dogs coming in and going out. And so we talked about the overall schedule of how we're scheduling the business to run, and specifically protecting your time away from the business. So for me, that really then has to piggyback into, that's great. So you say, Ashley and Liz, awesome. Now I'm scheduled time away from my business, and I scheduled myself a nice vacation, and I have 2 days off a week, and I'm doing all of this. That's awesome. Maybe I accomplished that, but still, or on the flip side of that, you're sitting there going, my days are so out of control, and the mountain of stuff that I have to do, how on earth could I possibly, even remotely try to make this happen? And you're talking about taking 2 days off a week, or 3 days off a week, or 1 day off a week, or 5 minutes off a week. And how on earth am I going to do that when I can't get through a day, and every day is the same, and there's never any progress, and it's just the never ending inundation of emails, phone calls, messages, DMs, Facebook messages, all of that stuff. So if you don't take control of your day, you certainly are not going to be able to take care of your week and your month, and then take a week off. And you would sit there and go, well, how am I going to take this week off you guys are talking about when you're scheduling dogs at the end of your cycle or 2 cycles? How do I take a week off when all of this business is still here? So that's what we're going to talk about today, is how to schedule sanity into your day. There's a lot of stuff that people are not doing. Are you exercising even remotely regularly? Are you eating 2 to 3 or 4 times a day? Hopefully not just one. I'm
and not just takeout. Are you actually eating healthy meals?
I like takeout.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Are you, if you want to cook, and you probably should, to eat healthy, are you doing that? Are you Uber eating Uber Eats every single meal that comes to you? That's not healthy, and it's certainly not cost effective. It's terrible expense. So things like that, exercise, scheduling time, and I'm not talking about walking dogs. That's part of our job. So like, scheduling time to actually go exercise. We like riding bikes. So for us, like, riding bikes is key and vital. So are we doing that? And are we scheduling time to do that? And are we making sure that was happening?
And not just because it's like you're getting exercise and it's great for your body, but it's good for our mental health too. Like getting away and riding our bike. I got to get on my bike for the first time a couple of days ago, and it's like mentally freeing. I mean, I was, he even remarked like how happy I was the rest of the day.
Yeah, you were. And to be clear, it was the
really happy a lot.
Yeah.
Most days anyways.
Because of that baby looking at you all the time.
Pretty much.
To be clear, it was the first time you got to ride on it because you had a baby. And so, and for people that don't know, when you were 8 weeks pregnant, you broke your collarbone. So then you were off your bike during the peak where you could have ridden it. And then you got very pregnant. And you were always very pregnant during that time, but you got larger, visibly pregnant. Yeah. And so April 27th was your final dirt bike ride.
Yep.
And so then yesterday.
2 days ago.
Jesus Christ. 2 days ago was the first time back on your mountain bike.
Yeah. That's fun
for you. And yes, you came home with a
but even now, like, I'm not training, and I'm sure we'll get into this a little bit more, but I'm not training as much, and I'm not as involved with the business, but I have a baby all day, every day. And so I even have to like put things on the calendar for myself, like ride my bike, and maybe I'll only get 30 minutes in on the bike, but I put it on the calendar and I went and did it. So
yeah. I think that's hugely important. So that's, if we're going to talk about all of that kind of stuff, we have to talk about, really for me, first and foremost, is probably either boundaries or time blocking. And I don't know which one would be.
I think they go well together. So.
Yeah. So we'll talk about boundaries first because it's super important. You have to have boundaries, whatever you're going to schedule your time. So we'll talk about time blocking and how to actually schedule your day in a minute. But however you choose to do that, you have to have boundaries there. You have to start setting up procedures first for how people are going to contact you. So that's the first layer of boundaries is how do you want to channel stuff into your business? We're going to talk more about websites and how to maximize your website on another episode. But really simply for us, everything comes through the website. We don't take random phone calls for business. We don't just get like hey, in the middle of your day, I'm interested in business and voicemails with that. So we're funneling everything through our website. We want people to go through our website. We want them to fill out a contact form that puts them into our customer resource management system, 17 Hats, which we will definitely be doing episodes about because it's just life changing. But so somebody goes to our website, fills out a contact form. They're able to schedule a phone call with us. That's another huge thing that we're going to talk about, automating your workflow and taking away a lot of this stuff that's busy work for you. And there's technology that can do that for you nowadays. So the fact that I have calendar events pop up is great. But however you're doing that, if you're going to have people email you or just contact forms, if you don't have all this awesome technology yet and you just have contact forms coming in, you have to limit how people are getting a hold of you. Mm-hmm. And I do that very specifically. And I know you did that when you worked for the Good Dog. You have to do that very specifically where people can't just look at your phone number on the website and call you and leave you a voicemail message and expect a call back, because now you're on the timeline. You're like, I have to return this call.
Unless that's the only way you're running your business, having a phone number. Like there are old school businesses that only have a phone number, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about all the ways that people used to get a hold of you when you first started your business.
Yep,
and how adamant you were about keeping all those revenue lines, revenue streams, or ways to get a hold of you in the beginning.
Yeah,
you're like, any business is good business, and any way they get a hold of me is business.
Yeah.
And how did that work for you?
Well, on the one hand, I can say it worked because like our business took off, and so sometimes you have to do that.
But so where were you getting? You were getting like Facebook messages, emails, phone calls.
Yeah. To be clear, I didn't
Instagram
have a website.
messages, text messages. Did you find it easy to keep track of all that, or like, I don't know?
At times, yeah.
We could make the argument it probably wasn't. So like.
Yeah, I'm going to make a very strong argument. It wasn't the most efficient way, but I had made the conscious and somewhat unconscious decision to not have a website. I didn't do it, and we took off faster than I could get that under my feet. And so for over 2 years, I didn't have a website, and we did incredibly well. So you got to trade one headache for the other. In the beginning, yeah, you can definitely, you can get away with that if you're starting a business because you're not going to have the volume. You're sitting here looking at the volume that you took in from the Good Dog and what we take in now, and there's no way that would work currently. So
you just end up missing people, right?
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I'm being distracted by YouTube saying we're not receiving enough video to do something. Oh, that's sorry. Back on. We're back on, folks. We're back on live. We're back up and broadcasting Radio Free America. I literally don't even know where. Oh, so we're talking about like where in the beginning all that stuff came in.
Yeah. So, and I get that for new business owners or new dog trainers to take in whatever they can. Yeah.
Because I mean, the volume is going to not be much. I was just telling you on another forum, some lady said that she averages about 9 contacts a month and is currently closing like 1 or 2. So yeah, if you're in that space and you're getting,
take everything
I'm going to say less than 20 contact forms a month, get it all from all forms. But as you start to get busier, then you're going to have to start closing down some of those channels and funneling them to something else.
And even myself with the boudoir business, I'll take like Yelp messages and stuff. I'm not like, here's a link to my contact form, make sure you go that way. That's like a really great way to lose a client at that point. And I'm not really willing to lose any right now, you know?
Oh, so you feel the exact same way I felt when I started my business.
Absolutely. I just know at one point you got overwhelmed, and when I came in, I was like, okay, we need to like temper these down a little bit.
Excellent point.
Streamline some things.
The no website and it coming in from everywhere went too long.
Yeah.
So we used it for its Christ. We used it for its intended purposes in the beginning to get business and to have it coming in, just like you're doing with your business now. And you'll have to do the same thing with your business with Lux Imagery when you shameless plug, when you start getting more than a few contacts a week, you'll have to do. I mean, you're already using 17 hats, so you have the workflow and everything set up. Mm-hmm. You'll just be able to focus it down. Damn bubbled water. You'll be able to focus it down and narrow that down, and then funnel it to whatever you want. Right? Yeah. So for us, what we do now, because we do have a volume, we're averaging 20 plus contact forms a week, probably. I have 50 phone calls. It displays 50 phone calls. I think there's more than that. No, that's probably how many there is. Anyways, we have well over 50 phone calls scheduled for a month out. So with that kind of volume, and we're averaging, like 3 to 5 contact forms a day coming in, we can't. And then on top of it, there are still people that are trying to get a hold of us via these other channels. So I still do regularly, more than once a week, I will get a phone call that says, I'm Sally, call me, I have a bad dog and it needs training and I need to get it in next week. And I was like, at this point in the game, and I'm not saying you should feel this way early on, you should be like, call Sally, she needs your help.
Yes.
But at this point in the game, I'm like very irritated that happens, because the first line of defense is my voicemail. Well, the first line of defense is our website. Most people are going to find us through our website.
Yeah, unless they're Googling, unless they find us on like Google Maps or something where your number is actually there.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. But let's say they saw our website and so that maybe that's where they got the phone number off of, mm-hmm. which maybe that even shouldn't be on.
And maybe we should probably take that off. I think we did actually. Oh no, probably not. Yeah. Or maybe they actually filled out a contact form, and then when they got to the schedule your phone call, they're like, F this, I'm going to call this person. That's usually what people do.
There is that, but I can see those contact forms come in,
I know.
And very few of those people call me. I mean, there's been a few that are like, hey, I just filled out the contact form, but I wanted to talk to you before that. And I'm like, okay. But that's a fraction. Most of those unsolicited phone calls are just straight out of the blue. I'm Sally. I got a bad dog. You need to call me because I need to get it to you within like 3 days. I'm like, okay. That's not going to happen. So, but my first line of defense past the website is the voicemail message, which is very clearly, if you're not a current customer, don't leave me a message. I've worded it nicer than that, but that's what it says. Yeah. Is if I don't know you, don't leave me a message. I will try to call everybody back within 48 hours. If you're not an existing client, please go to our website. That is the only way you're going to be able to schedule a phone call with us. Period. And it's said. So if you've listened to that voicemail, and you obviously have to leave me a voicemail, you ignored it, and you ignored what I said. And maybe I'll have to go back and listen to it, because maybe I was a little too kind. And maybe I left a little. If you leave wiggle room and you leave openings there, they're going to do that. So they don't get one. They don't get a phone call. At best, I've in the past, occasionally, I might send them a text message. Hey, I got your voicemail. Here's the link to our website. That's the way that we schedule phone calls. I'm really hesitant about opening that door, because I haven't had it happen personally yet, where people are like, oh, but then they start trying to like text weasel their way in. So it doesn't happen too often. But the point I made on the Instagram post I made, that Instagram post that I made, I have to get those words out in the right order, is you don't call a doctor's office for the first time. You don't call a dentist's office for the first time. You don't call a plumber. You don't call an AC person in the summer. My AC went out. My AC went out. You need to be here tomorrow and fix that. They're like, yes, we have 12 people's ACs went out.
You don't call them?
You might be able to. No, I mean, you can call them, but you're not going to call them and be like demanding to be seen tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? So
I was going to say, I called the chiropractor for the first time, and that was how you scheduled your appointment.
And when is your appointment?
It was like 2 weeks later.
No, it's way longer than that.
It's next week. It's Monday.
My point being is it was like almost 3 weeks out, and you had one very specific time, 7:30 in the morning or whatever it is. Or no, that was your physical therapy.
Yeah, so, that was crazy.
Yeah. And even that, like, you didn't call, you schedule your, hey, so I'm ready for physical therapy tomorrow, right? My point being is that every profession if they're professional and they have a backlog and they're a thriving business, they have a backlog.
Sure.
You're not going to
And most people understand
Sure.
that they need to wait.
Right.
But for some reason, emotional dog owners need help tomorrow.
Sure. And that's fine. You're just, and if you're in the beginning of your dog training business, maybe you can get them in tomorrow and you should jump on that. But as you start to get busier and these things start to rain down on you and you hold over those bad habits, the problem being is if that's the habit you set, it becomes very hard to let go of that. You feel very conflicted about not answering all the texts.
You feel obligated. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to be very cautious about that and make sure that you're protecting that space of how people are going to get a hold of you. And I encourage you early to, even if you want to keep those gates open, just know that at some point you're going to funnel that down. Have that plan of this is how it's going to end up happening. And there's nothing wrong in the beginning of saying, having on your voicemail, hey, I'm glad you called. The quickest way to schedule an appointment with me is to go on our website and fill out a contact form. Because again, you're asking somebody, to go check out your stuff and see what your website looks like and get an idea of all your things, the things that we'll talk about later to put on a website on a different episode. But you're going to also capture if you have a contact form on there, which you really should, you're going to capture their information. So you're not like trying to write notes everywhere and the camera stuff.
What?
Can you push that button again for me really quick? I don't know why it does that. I even researched it. Everything's not turned on. That's supposed to be. I'm about ready to go on a camera buying rampage and solve this problem.
No.
Oh, I'm gonna. Too many problems. So for me, that's the first line of defense is the website. Putting everybody back to the website. The second line of defense is how I set up my voicemail. So don't call me out of the blue and leave me a message. And to be fair, that is not fair for those other clients that have scheduled phone calls and are waiting a month out for us now for me to get a hold of them. Sally with the dog problem today shouldn't jump to the front of that line. None of these are emergencies. I mean, some people are like, yeah, my dog bit the shit out of everybody. Well, yeah. So did like a lot of people on our phone call list. So that's still not an emergency on our part and your part. You may have to make some choices that don't involve me before we get to talk. So putting that voicemail in there. And then same thing, in the beginning, if you're going to take Facebook messages and Instagram messages and text messages and all the different forms of communication, what we have done to scale that back and to funnel everything is, especially on Facebook, has a great thing. And if you're using Facebook for your business, which you should, it should be a Facebook business account. Please don't use a private account and personal, like your personal name, just because you're trying to get around something. There's nothing to get around. They don't cost anything. Just do it. Do a business account. You can put a lot of stuff in there. And with your business account, you can also put auto reply messages. You can actually turn them off when you want, so they can't even message you. But what we have is just an automatic reply. We appreciate your interest. Here's our website. Go on it. Fill out a contact form. We're not going to be checking messages on Facebook very often, and we don't. And I don't respond to Facebook messages as far as dog training. And it's been. Other than the one guy that's trying to buy a dog from me. It's been a long time since somebody's gotten a hold of us on that, trying to do that. So that's been great.
What about Instagram? Do you get any messages there?
I haven't for a while as far as dog training.
I don't think people really find us on Instagram, to be honest.
They have in the past. We used to get, I don't want to say a lot of business, but way more business than I thought we would get off of it. I've had between 20 and 30 clients that I know of off of Instagram. But
so I get a lot of potential clients on Instagram for my photography, and I don't point them towards the website. I do after I set up a phone call. So I'll actually I'll just message them and set up a phone call on Instagram and then send them to my website so they can check out everything to make sure I'm the right fit for them to begin with. So because maybe they are on Instagram, they're like, oh, I really like her work, but they haven't really been to my website yet. maybe they haven't seen my starting prices or haven't watched some videos that, I'm showing my personality on. So I want to make sure that they vibe with me before I even talk to them. So yeah, but I like Instagram for that. It can be hard because like you're having to like pull a phone number from them, set up a phone call. So it is kind of still a lot of work, but right now I'm okay doing that. Eventually I'm not going to be okay doing that. And I think in our position here with the dog training, I certainly wouldn't be. It's a lot of extra time on my hands. I have to like wait for them to respond. And then like they responded, but they didn't leave the phone number. And then I'm like, well, it's the day of the phone call and I still don't have your phone number. So, it's just
that's
here I am
tough.
messaging you again.
I don't do much business anymore on it. We just people that see our stories and comment and stuff like that. So it's nice to like build community and stuff that. So, and the frustrating part about Instagram is you don't have the ability to put like an auto reply or anything like that. So if you're going to be on there, I guess if you just ignore people, then you can do that. But if you're on Instagram,
no, I think you should definitely be answering your messages in a very nice, kind fashion.
So, and that would again go towards scheduling. We'll talk about scheduling your day here in a second. And so that's like schedule time to answer messages and then be done.
Yeah.
Just because somebody pops up a message doesn't mean that.
Well, so that's going back to setting boundaries. So the way you're taking Facebook messages, phone calls, text messages, all those things are setting boundaries for yourself, because before you probably were on your phone a ton, taking those phone calls, taking those text messages, not wasting time, but spending too much time answering those messages on Facebook maybe. So do you think you're saving time now? Like it's obviously saving you time now that you are streamlining that process.
In the beginning, it wasn't lots of time because there wasn't lots of volume. So when you start getting inundated, or when I'm going to say if you start
I guess the point is you are now setting boundaries for yourself.
Yeah.
So that you can put that time elsewhere now.
Yes, because if I continue to try to do that, it would just come unglued.
Yeah.
So you have to set those boundaries. But the boundaries can be, boundaries are a couple different ways. I set very clear boundaries just on how people can get a hold of me, but you could also have all of those channels open to you, but set boundaries on when you're going to reply to them. So I think it's really clear to establish where you're at in your dog training business and journey, and do you need to have some space available to take in business. Don't turn away business, and don't turn off channels that could be bringing you business early, because there's not going to be a volume. It won't be hard to take care of that. So if you just have to be diligent about it, you can't be.
But maybe don't answer every single second of every single day. Maybe you have times when you answer messages or listen to voicemails or respond to text messages. Yeah.
So that's the next boundary, is the time that you're going to do that. Mm-hmm. When do you set time in the morning to answer emails? When do you set time, however many times a day you're going to do it? And it should be 2 or 3, probably no more than 3, but probably 2, like maybe morning, maybe evening. So, or you could do it 1 for sure. Yeah. Depending on what the emails are for us. And again, that kind of goes towards that automation that we'll talk about later on. I don't get a lot of emails that are like, hey, I need dog training. The emails that we're getting are current clients or past clients that want to board with us and stuff. So I'm okay checking that twice a day, because I'm not typing out long ass emails on stuff. I'm answering a couple of questions. I'm answering a dog training issue. Some of those might wait a little bit, but I'll check it twice a day just to see, is there something, like, is somebody canceling an appointment for tomorrow? So I want to know that before I go to bed at night, that, hey, something came up and I'm not going to be there tomorrow. So I don't want to wake up in the morning. Because I'm planning out my day at the end of the night, which I'll talk really about here in a second, I want to know that. So I'll check emails. I'll decide what I want to follow up on. Having an email system that allows you to like flag stuff for follow-up, get out all your spam, just clear through all that stuff. And then you could have different color codings that, like, this is like, red is priority. Blue is like, I can answer within a couple days. Green is, when I get to it, kind of thing. So for me, that's why I check my email more than some people could, because I have different things coming through there.
So just, you're setting boundaries by only checking your email twice a day. Correct. Instead of like 5 times a day.
Some of you may not realize what's going on here with Liz.
Reining it back in here.
I caught on to it earlier, and then what I really realized here is she's using her phone to do it. So she's trying to keep my squirrel brain here, my very tired squirrel brain, on a topic.
Okay, and then so going off that topic.
Yeah. No, the boundaries. I think boundaries are good. So boundaries of
and then,
this is when I'm going to.
So then what are you doing for your phone calls? So you're also setting only taking phone calls in specific times too, right? You're not just doing it anytime, any day.
Yeah. So I'll talk about what I did before and now obviously what I do currently. So what I did before was I would schedule times during the day because people were not scheduling their phone calls with me. Well, in the beginning, there's just emails and messages and Facebook messages. So I'm just calling them when I can, but I would still, there were times I couldn't call. So, those are, I would call when I could kind of thing. But again, it's a volume of like a phone call a day kind of thing, not a big deal. Then as we got busier and busier, then I had to start being more diligent on carving out time to make phone calls. And I would just call people based on when those emails or contact forms came in when we finally did get a website and just the contact form. So I had to be diligent about when am I going to call these people, hopefully in a timely fashion. Now that we're automated, that happens automatically. People are scheduling their phone calls via links that they get. So it comes on my calendar. And we have calendars blocked out. And when we talk about 17 hats, I'll explain why it's so magical to do that. Because to create my boundaries, I created the boundaries of these are the days I want to take phone calls and these are the times I want to take phone calls. And then it looks at our calendar and also knows if we have a session in there, so it won't double book me. But what I found when we first started using 17 hats was I didn't have a lot of boundaries. And so
it's like every day, all day.
Yeah.
So the only times that you had available for phone calls were just every day, all day, except for the times we had sessions or when you like blocked out time to go ride or like any personal time.
Yeah. So we didn't get phone calls on Mondays because that was our day off. And we didn't get phone calls when we had other work scheduled, like sessions. And then that Thursday night that I planned to ride my bike. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to try to do it Tuesday nights too. But I would look at my calendar and go, oh my God, there's phone calls every day. Like every free moment.
Five a day. Yeah.
That happened really quickly within just a couple months. And I was like, okay, hold on. This can't happen. I can't do that.
Because mentally it was tough, right? And then so many phone calls were getting scheduled that we almost didn't have times to schedule sessions. Or we did. And I was just like, I'll just man it. I'll man the session. Like you go do your phone call upstairs or whatever.
Yeah. And that definitely can't happen now because of the baby. You're on baby duty and I'm on dog duty. So we fortunately fixed that problem. So I set huge boundaries just within 17 hats. I put in, I'm only taking phone calls 4 days a week now. And so between our maternity leave that I didn't take phone calls for, it wasn't a long time, but it was a few weeks, 2-3 weeks or so. I didn't take phone calls and that pushed us out for a month. Plus the fact that I don't and that's the tough part is, now when I'm in taking phone calls, maybe those people have moved on and that's just for me, the way that it's going to be. We have a volume. It's fine. Those boundaries were super important to be able
Unless you spend like 3 days just taking phone calls all day. Just going through a whole list and just calling everyone. And
definitely we're going to talk about how we do phone calls here on another topic as well. We got a lot of good topics. We just can't cover it all in one.
Yeah.
But what I am doing to weed through that is, number one, I have a list of people that didn't make phone appointments. And so they'll get called when they get called. So if somebody doesn't answer the phone, I either call somebody off that list that's like a puppy or a private or something where I can just fit through because we're pretty packed on board and trains anyways. So I'll schedule that. And then what I'm going to start doing now is because that list has gotten shorter and shorter and I've called the people that I need to on that. So now I will start at the end, the farthest out phone call. If somebody today doesn't answer, I'm going to call that person. And then we'll kind of like shrink that. Let me get a better camera angle there so you can see my hands. We'll shrink that gap back down to what I think is a reasonable call log, 2 to 3 weeks, probably, hopefully. So those boundaries within that calendar was vital and important for phone calls. So that's how it's scheduled now. But I would do the same thing if I didn't have that automation. I would say that these are the times I would pick the days of the week, whatever you want to do, however, 4 or 5 days a week. Obviously you have a lot of other considerations like training and life and sessions and all that stuff. So these are the days of the week, maybe 1 weekend day, maybe 3 weekdays or 4 weekdays. These are the days of the week that I want to schedule phone calls. And these are the times that I'm going to do it. Yeah. What we did do to create some boundaries on that contact form that we had before this was automated was pick a time, because we were just getting contact forms and we're like, shit, we're trying to call all these people. And we don't really know, like, I've been in law enforcement almost my entire adult life. And so I've had a really, like, I'm off during the day because I sleep at night, and I'm off on weekdays and work. So I forget that people have 9 to 5 jobs and probably can't talk to their dog trainer on the phone. So I would just call them all the random, whenever it fit for me. And I wasn't getting a lot.
And who answers their phone when a random number calls you? I know I don't. Well, I do nowadays because I could be someone that wants a boudoir shoot.
Or somebody calling you about your fucking car warranty.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I know that's an 808
This is the
number.
difference between my generation, because I'm significantly older than you, and your generation, because
we don't answer the phone.
Huh?
Yeah, we don't answer the phone.
Correct, because you grew up with cell phones. When I was a kid, like, you answered the fucking phone because it could be your friend.
Yeah.
We didn't have call ID. We didn't have nothing. There's just a phone hanging over on the wall, and it rang. We all sprinted for it. And then got yelled at by our parents, stop sprinting for that phone. You're not supposed to answer the phone. So I don't know why that was a rule, but
that's weird. That's a weird rule.
It's a very weird rule. Like, yeah.
We were encouraged to answer the phone.
We weren't. You're just
politely.
Dumb. You're just kids. Like, you don't need to be.
Kroger residents, how may I help you?
Jesus, that's nice.
With
the advent of cell phones, I don't answer phones from that I don't know.
So it doesn't really work out anymore. Like, especially with my number, my 808 area code, if I just call someone randomly, I know they're not answering. So I have to text them ahead of time and say who it is, and then I can call them.
Yeah.
But so you have your phone calls automated.
Right.
So you're getting them.
Back to that point on the website, when we changed that to make it easier on our contact form, really simply.
I interrupted him.
Huh?
I interrupted him.
You did try to interrupt me. But I had a point in there.
Sorry, my life.
It was on the boundaries.
Go on, make your point.
Yeah. So, because you asked about scheduling phone calls, and we moved to the contact form of having those time blocks. Remember, it was like 9 to 11 or 5 to 7.
It AM or PM, basically.
Correct. Yeah. So somebody could say, and it was like, what days of the week? Weekends better, this. So at least we had a general idea of when this person we could call them. So we knew that. And then I would schedule it. So then I had times blocked out to call during the week and call on the weekends. And then we'd try to do that. And I was still trying to hustle and get as much business as possible in here. And so, now that we automated it, that happens on
that was a really great way to to semi-automate it, do it before we have our system now.
Yeah.
It was definitely different than what I used to do at the Good Dog. And that's what I was going to talk about is you have your way of doing it now, which is people schedule their own phone call. We've already got set days and times that you have available, so they can just choose within that time. That's actually what I'm doing with Lux Imagery, except I have every day and most of the times available. But also our schedules, I schedule a lot of stuff personally, and then we have all the dog stuff. So all those times are obviously blocked off as well. But when at the Good Dog, we used to have contact forms come in, and we actually had less contact forms coming in. More so due to the way the website was kind of, how do I say it?
Filtering people out. That's their mantra down there is,
so we had less contact forms, but I was more likely to close the client on the phone just because they had already done a lot of prior research.
In a quick nutshell, and we'll talk about this when we talk about websites and programs and pricing and all that stuff. Huh?
Go ahead.
What?
Go ahead.
You can filter stuff out on your website by putting in your prices. I choose to sell people on the phone, and so I want those phone calls more. The conversion rate is about the same in what we looked at, because you were tracking your stuff and we were tracking our stuff here. The conversion rate is about the same. But my way, you have to be a skilled salesperson and enjoy talking to people.
but yeah, we'd have a contact form coming in, and then I would be setting the phone call up. And this is probably what a lot of people are doing, is my guess, is that regardless of if you have prices on your website or not, but the contact form would come in, and then I would email them and set up the phone call via email. Right. That takes a lot of time. Oh my God. Because sometimes people don't get
Don't get ahead
email.
of ourselves. That's what we're going to talk about, automation.
I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, it's an incredible time suck.
And then I would, because I was also training dogs and doing daily walks, and like I had the schedule with the good dog, I had to make sure to schedule those phone calls like in times that worked for us, like after walks, because I wanted to be back at the house so I could have the computer there, or I would do it on the walk. And sometimes, that was okay, but
it's not
always the best.
No,
I like to multitask. I'm really great at multitasking, but like what happens if you forget to like, oh shit, I have to email them the invoice and like make all these notes in your phone, and it's just not ideal.
Scientific fact, there is no such thing as multitasking. Your brain can only function on one task. It's rapid tasking. Mm-hmm. Some people are very good at rapidly tasking. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. If you hold, I personally don't even like trying to do phone calls when I'm driving and stuff like that. So I'll be out and about and I'll just go sit in the car or something like that. But I really try not to drive, and hands-free, of course, and talk on the phone, because same thing, even though we're using 17 hats on an app and stuff, it's just not as good. And you got background noise and you're trying to remember what that person's saying while people are cutting you off in traffic and stuff. So the boundaries for me are, as I'm committed to being in my office when it's time to make phone calls and stuff like that, for the most part. Yeah. Or if I'm out and about, I go when I don't have the phone call. I arrive if I'm going to go hang out at my friend's bike shop, and then I just keep walking out and sitting in the car and doing a phone call then. So yeah, so that is like your first, the layers of boundaries. The second layer of boundaries is like,
we're still in boundaries.
What's that?
We're still in boundaries.
Yeah, boundaries, man. The other layers of boundaries is those texts and calls and stuff that come in late at night. And so let's talk real quick about text messages and how we feel about that, because you had a different feeling than I do, and what. Well,
I think it stemmed because when I worked with the good dog, I used my personal phone to make phone calls, and it's not my business. So like, I don't own it. And so when I'm getting random phone calls from clients whose dogs are in boarding or training, or I'm getting random text messages from clients asking how their dog is doing, I'm not okay with that. And so I'm of the mindset that, like, because I was manning the emails then. So like, you can email to have that question answered, or like
so
we can set up a phone call or
that
something.
Is in a similar position, if it's their own business or they're working for somebody else in that fashion, how would they be able to do that? Could you use like a Google number, and that's the number that comes
totally.
In? I mean,
that's what I did initially for my dog business.
Email this person, I'm going to call you about your dog, and you call them and they now have your number. Now that wasn't like an implied feel free to.
Sure. I mean, I'd get like frantic phone calls from, I've had, I think you've heard a couple, like I've had some really like, they went way, they like pushed my boundaries down, I don't even know what I'm trying to say there, but
you had lower boundaries and they exploited them.
Yes.
they walked all over the boundaries. You had low walls and they just kept stepping over them, and you never stood up and said, hey, fuckface, don't.
No, but that's the thing is I did. I tried to set those. It's just,
But you have that nice little sweet face right there. Really nice, it's nice, that smile and stuff. You don't have this thing going on, this chiseled thing with the sometimes beard and stuff, or you're just like, hey, fuck, like, don't fucking do that.
So now with Lux Imagery, actually what I say to women when I'm done with the phone call is, if they have any questions, feel free to text me if they have any questions later.
Some of that might just be a different mindset for you. Like,
I want them.
And then volume 2.
But it's a totally different business. I want them to feel like they are able to contact me, are able to be vulnerable enough to ask me questions, to send me pictures of lingerie, like via text. I want them to feel like they're safe enough to do that. But in a dog training business, when we are going
to be clear, this is sound horrible. I don't want pictures of your dog. You're going to show me how cute he is and how cuddly he is, and you're going to show me all the reasons that you're in.
That's the thing, is it's a very different industry. Sure. So as dog trainers, we are going to be having some pretty serious conversations with owners at some point. We're going to be telling them that they can't do certain things, or we recommend that they can't do certain things and recommend that they do certain things they may be uncomfortable with. And so in order to have, in order for them to believe in us and actually to follow through with a lot of those recommendations later on, we have to set the tone from the get-go. So our website and your phone call sets the tone for how our relationship is going to be with them. Like, forward, right?
We're really friendly and fun with people, but there are times
but they know they can't walk all over us.
Correct.
They'll try.
They do try with those boundaries. So the text message thing for me, I'm okay. I think one of the struggles that you had was, I almost said, one of the struggles that Liz had, as though you're not sitting right across from me. One of the struggles you had was when somebody texted you versus an email, the feeling that made you feel like you had to reply quicker, like they expected. There was not that they did that. It's how you felt as a result of that.
But I also felt like it was invading my personal time because there wasn't a lot of time that I was away from dogs and dog training when I was working at the Good Dog. So when I got a text and it was like 9 p.m. at night or 6 in the morning, or I was at the gym or something, I was like, this is my time. And I'm really mad that you're trying to take my time away from me. and
a lot of trainers that are watching this could feel the same way, even if it's their business.
Totally.
I personally don't feel that way because...
But you also feel obligated to respond. And with a text message, people know you have your phone with you. They know you see it. And so, like, I'm sure, like...
You assume people that, like...
Sure.
But that's what I want to lay out is it has a psychological effect on you because those are the things that are going through your mind. So when that text comes through and based on where you used to work and the pressure there and the like no time off and all the stuff we covered last week.
Yeah, and answering emails within a certain amount of time. Like,
oh God. But in the different light in your own business, you don't feel that way.
No.
And to be fair, your business doesn't have the volume of clients and stuff.
Sure.
Maybe 2 years from now, when that stuff is happening, you might have to throttle that back a little bit. But I think it's the mental space you're in.
Yeah.
But for me,
I'm okay with them doing that, but I'm not going to answer at 9 p.m. I'm a little bit more okay with like, oh, I can put that off until the morning. The only problem with text messages, and this is what kind of gets me the most, is not really how it makes me feel. It's like, I look at a text message at 9 p.m. at night, and by 8 o'clock the next morning, I don't remember that text message was there. It's not like in the back of my mind. I can't like click unread like I can an email. So I have a hard time responding. Like I don't respond to your mom's text messages just because like I forget about them when I actually have the time to respond.
I don't respond as well.
I promise. But yeah, I think.
But for me, the text message coming in the evening, I look at that and go like, I don't know if that person expects a response right now. Maybe it crossed their mind and they had something. And I've had it happen a few times recently where we're getting ready to onboard some clients and they've sent me some texts like what I would consider late. See, that's the other thing that your little generation, like they don't understand. You didn't call people past like 9 o'clock at night. If you called my house past 9 o'clock at night, my dad would probably answer and be like, why are you calling so late?
Sure.
And so like there was etiquette with this stuff, and text messaging has taken away some of that etiquette as far as times. And I think, again, if you don't set realistic boundaries, people think like, I'm going to text my dog trainer because they're going to text me back at 9 o'clock at night.
But it's so weird because when I text, so I'll text like my hair and makeup artist because that's our way of communicating to see if she has a date available. And I make sure I don't do it on, like I know she's so busy on Saturdays and Sundays with wedding season. So I'm like, I'm not even going to bother texting her. And then I know she's spending time with family at certain times. So I'll make sure to like not do it before 9 a.m. and not do it after like 7 p.m. And when I do text, this is just probably my personality, but I'm like, hey, no hurry on a response. First I'm like, hey, how's it going? Hope you had a really great weekend. No hurry on a response, but I want to see if you have any dates available for X, Y, and Z. Let me know when you can. And like, she'll text me back like 5 hours later, which is totally fine.
Yeah. And so that's how you feel with that. And so I think what our point is to text messages with boundaries and how they're coming in is set boundaries for times when you're done with it's same with a phone call.
If you want
the communication doesn't matter. If somebody called me at 9 o'clock at night or somebody texts me at 9 o'clock at night, I think the text gives you, the end user, the feeling that, oh, well, I could respond back because it's not a phone call. A phone call is a little bit more intrusive, but still.
But next thing you know, the dog trainer is having a like back and forth conversation with a potential client, and they didn't get them on the phone.
Right.
So that's,
Yep.
I know there's a lot of dog trainers that probably have issues with that. So.
Oh, 100%. So set the boundaries, set the limits on your phone. There's actually just on the iPhone, there's the great like do not disturb function where you can turn it off and those things don't come through till the end of the night, or till the next morning. I think mine's from like 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. or something like that. And it's only people on your friends and family list come through on that. So it's great. Like that you can do that stuff, set those boundaries and protect that time exclusively. For me, I make it really simple. I don't handle business now. And I've been really trying to be diligent because I have a social media addiction problem that I'm trying to overcome in the morning. So I am not getting on my phone before 10 a.m. I set an alarm to wake up at 8 a.m. I check my text message. I just open the phone to see if I have any text message, and I'll hit it if I do, to see like did my daughter text not Zoe, she's 3 months old. She can't text message right now, but maybe she's starting to use her little thumbs and fingers, so she'll probably figure that out pretty quickly. But yeah, she doesn't understand spell words or nothing. So, but no, my older daughter, I need to see like and sometimes I open it and there's like 45 fucking text messages because I'm on a damn group text or something. So I look, okay, nothing vital. Did a client cancel? That would be something I would want to know. So did my schedule clear up today or something like that? That's the only thing.
But even that can wait till 10 a.m.
It could, unless I have like an 11 a.m. appointment and that person texted me at 6 a.m. and was like, I canceled. And that's happened before. So I'll just shoot back. No problems. We'll schedule soon. I won't start involving, I won't get invested in that conversation. Sure. I'll just ignore. Can you hit that button again?
So how then do you schedule, like, I know you've got kind of your schedule for the day. Talk to me about time blocking.
So time blocking, that's what I use now to wrangle my sanity because I'm very inefficient if I don't. So I utilize I use a
planner
journal. Yeah. It's called the Best Self Journal. I've done I've done some videos and stuff about it, and we'll talk.
We're
about
both very passionate about the written to-do lists.
Right.
I'm a to-do list person.
Yeah.
You don't grab it. Okay. I know, but we'll just go way too in depth about a journal.
So really quickly, this is what it looks like. It's the Best Self Journal right there. Boom. And that's what the pages look like. So that's what the day looks like. You can plan your day out. You write it. I like paper a lot for a couple of reasons, because you're writing it down. And then I have the same company. It's a weekly and a monthly planner thing. So you schedule the week out. So I can look at this and go, what is my workflow for the week? I know already what the sessions are all look like. What am I trying to accomplish here? And then I can kind of refer to that when I go back to my daily schedule. And then with the daily schedule, what I'm doing is I use that journal and I write down. So I know at the end of my day, I pull up my Google Calendar for the next day. And the way that we use Google Calendars, we use a couple of them. You have one personally, you have one for Lex Imagery, right? Those two? Mm-hmm. I'm not sure which ones are which. It's all personal, the same. Yeah. Okay. So Liz has one. It's in her color. I have one that is my daily thing. And those two are what 17 Hats references and says, okay, so on Ashley's, it says he's riding his bike from 4 to 6. Nothing can get scheduled between 4 and 6 remotely by another client. And then I have another calendar that's like Ashley's daily that won't affect any of that stuff. It's just how I can visualize the day. And then we have sessions. We have a calendar for Gold Hill Canine sessions. That also is referenced there. And then we also have the phone calls as its own. I don't remember. Yeah. But the sessions one specifically too is another color on there, so we can see on this daily schedule what this thing looks like. And so the cool part about it is because 17 Hats is referencing all of that stuff, it just goes, oh, okay, well, you have these free spots here for phone calls and blah, blah, blah. So you do all that stuff. So at the end of the day, I sit down with my daily planner and I look at what my schedule is for tomorrow, because by 10 or 11 or at night or whenever I'm doing this, nobody can schedule anything. Nothing's going to pop up. So I look
They
and go,
actually can't for 24 hours beforehand.
right, which would also be why they can't like schedule stuff that late at night.
Yes.
For 24 hours. Yes.
I'm just saying, so you don't have to use a different color
For what?
for your Ashley Daily.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
It just works. I don't know.
I like it.
Yeah. Well, I know, because I put some of that daily stuff on, like if I do a recurring thing or something like that, like I should just do that for the morning thing, so I don't have to type it every day. But yeah, if I do throw a recurring on that Ashley Daily one, it won't block, it won't pull out. So that's why I kind of kept it that way. But yes, you're right, it's for the 24-hour thing. So at the end of the day, I know what my day looks like tomorrow. And so in that handwritten journal, I'll go, okay, so here's my sessions, here's my phone calls. These are the things that are already occurring for tomorrow. They're written in stone. Those are appointments. I can't change them. I can't move them. That's where they are.
Yeah.
So I write those down first. And then because my morning routine is from 8 to 10, I write that in there. So I'm trying to build those habits of that's accounted for in what I'm going to do. And then I fill in between all of those things. So I look at that weekly planner that I showed you with the black cover and go like, what was my plan for the week and where am I at in that? Especially like over this last month or whatever it is that we've been starting to do these lives, we've become incredibly much more busy, and now we're back to taking dogs and training dogs daily. And so I was like, oh shit, I got to schedule in time to like actually train a dog. Oh my god! And like even honestly, like even today, we've had meat in the refrigerator to make beef jerky, and I forgot about it. And so it was like, I have to put on the calendar, make beef jerky, because I'll forget, and it just won't happen.
Glad you did it.
Huh?
I'm glad you did it.
Yeah. Well, and it's so important for the sense of accomplishment, because what we're talking about is like, if you're setting goals for yourself and you're setting things that you're wanting to accomplish, and your to-do list, which we'll talk about in a second, the to-do list won't happen if you don't write this stuff on a calendar. Trust me, I'm the absolute worst at it. You're much better at that well, you write to-do lists and you make sure it happens, but you don't have to like write it on the calendar at 11 a.m. that I'm going to like make peanut butter and toast, like you'll make it happen because it's on your to-do list. So you make sure. And I think maybe you're inherently,
or because I already have ingrained habits. Like I have a lot of habits that like I enjoy doing, so I don't even have to write them down anymore.
Yeah, I don't have any that I enjoy doing, so I have to write them all down.
Like going for a walk every morning, riding my bike. Right. I have a workout plan, so a weekly plan. Like I need to know like which days I have my bike workout planned, right. And I put it on the calendar really for your sake, but
especially with the baby now, we have to. So number one, if you're trying to build habits, you need to schedule that, right?
Yeah,
3 things down. Like for me, honestly, right now, drink a gallon of water a day, read for an hour, journal.
How do you not get thirsty? I like am so parched all day. That's like, how do you not just drink water all day?
Fucking lived on Mountain Dew, man. And once you cut that out of my life, that's like, I don't even know. I don't get my sustenance anymore. So yeah, it was the magical elixir. It kept me going. It preserved my insides. And
gross.
Stuff.
So gross.
Mountain Dew Code Red is not gross in any fashion. You know how good I've been too. There's 3 cans sitting in that refrigerator that have been sitting there since.
There's still 3? Oh.
2.
Oh.
For sure. But I haven't drank. Like those 2 have been sitting in there since I came back from Mount Shasta.
No, you brought 5 or 6 back home. Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
You're missing the point. Yes, I brought 5 home. I drank 1. I drank some and poured it down the sink. And then
5 minus 1 equals 2. That's math.
No, 5 minus 1 equals 4. And then I drank part of another one and dropped it and poured it down the sink. And then I think there's 3 in there.
Okay.
Maybe another one's...
I'm going to go count them when I leave.
Maybe another one got snuck out somewhere. But like literally, those two of the 5 still have been sitting in there since Shasta in July. That is super
I
good
know.
for
You
me.
open that fridge like twice a day, so it's good.
Yeah, and those fucking things stare me in the face every single time. So yeah,
Just leave them in there so they just stare at you.
it's willpower, man.
Yeah.
I have none. But I'm trying to build the habit of literally drinking more water. So drink a gallon of water a day. I don't hit it,
You
but
literally need water to survive, and he has to write it down on a piece of paper. I don't know how. Okay, what's your other thing you have to do?
breathe. Write down, breathe every 10
Don't forget
seconds.
to breathe.
Yeah. Eat, honestly, for
Sleep.
me. I'm horrible. I have horrible
You are. I don't know how that happened.
I'm like a fucking anaconda, man. I can
Both
eat
you
once.
and your daughter. I think Zoe will not be that way because she'll be fed all the time.
Yeah, but why do you think my daughter's that way?
I know, because you forgot to feed her.
I literally feel horrible about that, to be honest with you. Like, yeah. Yes, that's a bad thing. I would forget because I can go all day with like eating once. Like I am like an anaconda. I eat one big meal and it carries me through like
I
a
don't know how
long
your
time.
stomach handles that.
Huge. I just pack a lot in there and then it holds on to it. But I did feel horrible when my daughter was young and be like, oh fuck, that kid hasn't eaten. Like she'd be like, I'm hungry. I'm like, shit. Well, I'd send her to school with food and stuff.
Oh yeah, so at least she got good thing she got lunch there.
Oh yeah, don't even get me started on that whole thing. I just figured out that I was the terrible parent getting her hot lunch, even though I thought I was the best parent getting her hot lunch.
Don't go down that tangent.
I'm not going to. But yeah, so eating, I will honestly forget to eat, or I just don't. I'll grab like, okay, I ate some cereal in the morning as I grab time, like especially the last few days I've been super busy, and I didn't put on there to eat lunch, and I didn't.
Well, let's be honest. You don't typically eat lunch anyways, right?
I would like to.
Okay.
But you don't make it for me.
We made this agreement when I first moved in. I will make you breakfast and dinner, but you're on your own for lunch.
That's why I starve. I want to renegotiate that. I want to re-up that contract. I think it's.
There are so many snacks and easy things to make for lunch, and
that's what you say. Nothing's easier than McDonald's. So.
You have to actually get in your car and go get it.
The fuck I do. We got Uber Eats. I just made a joke about Uber Eats earlier, so I can't do that. I'm not gonna lie. I have the worst eating habits on the planet from being in law enforcement. Like even if you tried to have good eating habits, it would just get all fucked up. So you just grabbed food when you could.
Can we get new chairs?
Yes, that's on that. I know. Yes.
I'm drenched.
Oh.
I know it's really bad.
That's a lot of information for folks.
Yeah.
Yes, these chairs, my beautiful Herman Miller chairs from the 70s that I had shipped from I think it was fucking Wisconsin.
There's a
Michigan.
reason we make better things these days.
I know. They look cool. They're sparkly, but
cool.
they really are not good. So,
So time block your day.
Time block my day, including eating. Yeah. 8 to 10 a.m. That's when my habits. I'm trying to every morning do these habits. So I actually write them down. These are the things I do in the morning. And then 10 a.m. we do dogs, and then we start our day. So then if whatever I have going on for the day, that is already pre-scheduled, phone calls, sessions, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. I know that. And now I fill in the blocks between that. So the last couple of days I needed to shoot the video for YouTube to like pre-introduced this thing. So I had to write that down, and then I had to write down times to sit and edit that stuff. Some of that stuff can coincide. Like I was editing while I also had a dog out, because the dogs in our program right now are later in the program. So they're doing way more duration stuff. So I can do that. I was actually making beef jerky while the dog was laying on place too. So still hygienic.
And you should absolutely do that. Train dogs and do other things.
Yeah, we want the dogs seeing us doing natural things and not just standing there staring at them. So, and because we're running the business out of our house, it's a very natural environment for the dog to see all of that stuff. So it works well. So you can schedule multiple things at a time like that. So, but yeah, that's how I time block my day, and then all the way through the evening.
Do you schedule time like for, like date night or Zoe and I, or
No, I don't have time for that.
He literally is like
I got dragged
8 a.m. to 11 p.m.
No, I put
solid.
yeah. No,
Is there any time in there for us?
No, that baby soaks it all up. I do have baby cuddle time on there. And I'm really good at like just walking downstairs and making sure that I'm still like smiling at her and interacting with her, and she remembers that she has a father. So, but no, I mean, it's your time with her too. Like this is baby time, and I get it. And so like it's, I have put that on there. I did that the other day, one time in the last 7 days. I scheduled time with my daughter. No, and I've put stuff with you on there before. Like when, let's be honest, right now, date night's kind of hard when you're pretty much exhausted by about now. You're still peppy right this second, but I think you're gonna hit that wall in about 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, so. I hit the wall before we even started this. Let's be honest.
That's that's awesome. So scheduling date night with a 3-month-old is a noble idea, and
yes, but any other time,
correct.
Yeah.
Yes, before the baby. We did that before the baby. We would schedule like this. These are our times. We were allegedly had a plan for date night like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and so I think we did that once. And you definitely should schedule time with your family. And sometimes it has to be like that regimented. You have to then say, and then
well, I think for someone like you that can get lost in the work, like. You could just be up here and like the whole day and night goes by and you know, forget
and
to
that's
eat,
100%.
forget to like, do all the things.
That's 100% what happened. And I've gone through this journey of time blocking and how I schedule this multiple times over the last 2 years. I think I've been doing it, and I've had more time away from it than I've had on it. And the time away from it has been the least productive. It just flies away. It's just fucking gone. And what stares me in the face and is the cold hard reality is in those journals that I have a whole fucking closet full of ones with just lines on every day. Cause I don't, if I stopped on like September 1st and I didn't pick back up on the journal and time blocking until like October 31st, I go through every single one of those pages. I put the date on it and I put a line through it to like stare me in the face and go, that's when you weren't using the system and you know you weren't efficient there. And so I don't just go like, oh, don't worry, I took a 3-month break off this thing and just start right back up. So I'd still be on one fucking journal instead of like, I think I'm on my 7th. So I've had more time away from the journal than on it. And it's drastically worse on a daily productivity thing. If I had not jumped in and started doing this journaling stuff pretty hard, trying to be pretty diligent about it, like at the end of the summer, we are at the end of summer. When was that? Like midsummer? Like I'm going to say around August is when I jumped back on it really hard. All the months prior to that. And granted, some of it was just baby stuff and we were just hanging out and whatnot. So, but the spring specifically was just a period of not much productivity other than just that daily grind. I was just a slave to the calendar of, okay, well, here's the fucking phone calls and this and that. And all of those times that I just spelled out that I now fill in, I just sat and was like, oh, because my big overall plan for the day or the week or the month was get Gold Hill Canine doing this. And it was so broad and so general that I didn't have daily action plans for that. And I didn't have time in the day. I didn't schedule time in the day to work towards that goal. So this live stuff that we've decided to start doing, I realized what we were facing is that I won't be able to do this. I will not pull this stuff off. I will not get these videos done if I don't start doing that. And I've been pretty diligent about it, which is the only reason any of this stuff has happened, while still running a business, while still playing with my daughter, while still talking to my other daughter on the phone and trying to spend some time with you, and then like having any type of life outside of that.
Same with like training dogs.
And training dogs and all that stuff, like all of the stuff that's happening right now. To be honest, like right now, even though we're a 2-person organization, we're functioning as basically a 1-person organization for the most part, as far as work gets done, because you have the most important job in the world, which is taking care of that little one. So to allow you to do that and to have that pressure off you to do that, that's like, we're now running it as a 1-person operation, and it's really a 2-person operation. So when I was running it as a 1-person operation before, it was the volume of a 1-person operation. And for any of you dog trainers out there that are doing that, you're running it as a 1-person operation and the level of dogs. we're at the amount of dogs for 2 people here. And so and I'm not complaining about it in any way. I like it and it works for us. And we've become so efficient. We've become so good at our processes, at how we're training dogs, at how we're doing all of this. But just the amount of dogs that we have here, if I wasn't being really critical over these last several weeks since the dogs got dropped off, all of this would have fallen apart. So this time blocking thing is the only way that this is happening, and the only way that.
But were you training dogs with beforehand?
What?
But were you training dogs with me beforehand?
No.
Before baby?
Oh, that was your job. That was your job here. That was your role in Gold Hill Canine, was head trainer and social media director and janitor and I don't know, a whole bunch of other things. No, but that was how we had divided the stuff, as I was handling client stuff, business stuff, and a lot of more dicking off time on my part. I got to ride my bike certainly more than I do now. And yeah, you were doing the hands-on dog training. So like I said, we were doing, it's a 2-person operation with the volume of stuff that we have. And so now we're slightly less on dogs, the amount of dogs, but it's like, I get to do it. I get to do it all. I get to go back to my roots and fucking start slinging dogs. It's not a bad thing. I mean, we could go drop down to 2 dogs a month or something like that. We don't want to. We want to stay where we're at for some financial goals and stuff like that. Yeah, I have a Mustang GT 500 to buy. So. Just kidding. Hold on, let me get the camera angle of that face, and that Omega Speedmaster Moon Rock version that I was looking at.
A what?
It's just a $15,000 watch. Don't worry too much about it. So, so back to time blocking. See, there's that shot on Liz's face again with watches.
If you only knew. If you only knew.
Knew what?
All the things you buy. You just laid on another thing you bought on me the other night.
A boat. Second boat.
We have a boat. We have a boat that won't ever probably run. That's sitting in our driveway.
See?
We won't get into this. This is.
Yeah, no, Sarah, dirty
I don't want
laundry.
to throw you under the bus.
It's already the bus hit me. Actually, that boat hit me. So that boat was $500, and it's a classic boat.
I will pay someone $500 to get it out of our driveway.
Don't you dare! You do not touch that. That's my beat laboratory. So no, it's a project, and it's something I'm gonna work on. So not today. I'm gonna time block some time. But no, I did buy another boat. I bought the similar boat 2 years newer.
The same boat.
The same, yeah.
The same boat.
It's like 2 or 3 years.
We have 2 of the same boats.
But one front has a motor and paint and seats and everything. The $500 one doesn't have any of that shit. It's got a transmission. So don't worry about that, folks. Don't worry about that. So yeah, but I do have financial goals. And my financial goals might be to have enough to pay somebody to do that boat at some point in time. So whatever your financial goals.
What do you need 2 boats for?
I told you I'm going to sell the boat I just bought. The running boat, I will sell at some point when I have the project boat finished. I don't have an intention to
Are we going to time block time to go on the boat?
Fuck yeah, we will. Yeah, we'll time block time. Then we're going to be so rich from all this, revenue streams and click funnels and all those things that I see on the internet. And we're going to be so rich that we'll just I'm going to be on a yacht and this stuff will be handled. You look skeptical.
Is that your entrepreneur brain talking or your entrepreneur brain?
The entrepreneur brain. I do this shit daily. So,
where are we?
I don't have any idea. We're just yeah.
No, I think we're getting it all in there.
No, we do. Oh, so I think the last one is, so with the time blocking, it is really important to figure out daily. And here's the second part of that time blocking. I write it in that journal. And then, because it's just easy for me to on paper, I don't know why I visualize that better. And it also, I think writing stuff rather than using a digital form to start helps with just clearing out of your mind. There's something cathartic about writing it with pen and paper and doing that and scratching, literally scratching it off the next day when it happens and stuff. So there's something.
It is way better because now that I can't really do that, and I am definitely a pen and paper person, I'm using my phone notes app and just typing it in, but I'm getting it done. It's still working for me, but it's not the same.
No, there's something very visceral about writing something on a to-do list and scratching it off. And then the next day, especially when you use notes and you're like check marking it, they drop down to the bottom. You don't really see it. But when you look at your day and you're like, those are my 3 things, those got crossed off. And then you look back over the course of a week and go, look at all the stuff I got done. It doesn't have the same effect on that notes app because I've used that notes app on a to-do list as well. And it just doesn't have the same thing. So I really encourage you to check out the Mind Journal. It's called Best Self Company, and it's not the Mind Journal. That's a whole other thing for mental health that we're doing. Best Self Company, and it's the daily planner, and then there's the big black one. That's I think it's the monthly planner or something like that. So writing that stuff down and figuring out what that day is, it also kind of guides you through your 3 to-do lists, those things, and then what I then do when I'm done with that is I take that and I type that into the Google Calendar. And that's what she was talking about earlier with the like Ashley Daily thing. So I have that Google Calendar is already showing all of the events and the sessions and the other things that are all in the different colors and Liz's schedule and whatnot. So then I fill in those blocks, and there should be no space time. Like literally it should be if like 10 a.m. is dogs, 10:30 is breakfast, and 10:30 to 11 is breakfast. 11 to 12 is emails, answer emails and text messages, or post on social media. And I could strongly encourage you scheduling times to post on social media, and then stay the fuck away from that. So fill in all of those times. And the key to doing any task is trying not to do it longer, doing it about 90-minute blocks if you're going to do something like editing a video. And for me, I got like, maybe you can tell from watching this, I got ADD, so it kind of like goes all over. So I don't do anything for longer than 90 minutes, and I do it in 45-minute blocks. I do 45 minutes.
Isn't it 45 minutes? That's best.
It is. So do 45 minutes, take about a 10-minute break, and then another 45 minutes. So it's about a 90-minute.
And that break,
window.
You should probably get up and move.
Correct.
No, not just keep sitting, right?
Yeah, it's not a break and like kick back and like
Scroll Instagram.
Right.
Yeah.
You're looking at me when you
No, I'm not.
You looked right at me when you said that.
Well,
no,
I am
she's right.
talking to you.
Yeah. Another vital thing that we both just did was having desks that raise and lower to stand up.
Mm-hmm.
Like the second half of that 45 minutes, I might stand up instead of sit, and you're using an exercise ball now as your desk chair to sit. Yeah, let's get you a desk chair. And you bounce the baby to sleep too sometimes.
That's fine.
Yeah. So the 90 minutes overall, and we'll call it like 100 minutes basically, because you got 45 minutes, take about a 10-minute break, get up, grab a snack, drink some water if you have to remember to do that.
Yeah. You should make an alarm. And then like every 15 minutes or every 30 minutes or something, it goes off and you drink water.
I've been doing really good. I have that big orange thing sitting next to me normally, and I know I want to get through a minimum of 2 of those for the day, if more like 3 or 4. 4 is the gallon, so I'm trying to do that. But I'm also doing the like freaking the sparkly waters. I do about 1 of those a day or something like that. So, but yeah. And the reason that the 45 minutes is, like Liz said, 45 minutes is about the longest that you can hold your attention on something before you lose it. And so doing that for 45 minutes, and then they kind of showed 90 minutes is about the longest you can hold like that event. So if I'm editing, unless I just have to like plow through it and get through it. Like today is just going to be like photo day or whatever it is. But like doing that for a period of time and then moving on to the next task. Yeah. So that's how you can look at big blocks.
Maybe like break it into twice in the day. If you really have to get something done, maybe like take a break, do some other things, go for a walk outside, then do that thing later in the evening. So you're kind of refreshed, but if you have to get it done.
Yeah. And the same thing, if you're in charge of scheduling your phone calls, schedule phone calls when you know you're at your peak energy. Maybe don't schedule phone calls at 7 and 8 o'clock at night, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night
I know my best working time is between like 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. After 3 p.m., I'm like worthless.
Nice. And I don't do anything at 6 a.m. So it just doesn't work for me. So, but I can get a lot done in the evenings. And a lot of people have talked about getting up earlier. Jocko Willink is a huge proponent of getting up at 4. I mean, he goes to bed at 9 or something like that to make sure he's getting enough sleep. But gets up at 4, and maybe getting up earlier is the key to having some sanity in your day. For me, I just push stuff off from 8 to 10. I just don't do anything. So whether the world's trying to come at me or not, it's just not happening. So, but if I had to start doing stuff at 8 a.m., I would probably, good God, tough to think about, but I would probably get up at 5 or 6 or something. So you have that time in the morning that is for you, for your mental health, and for stuff like that. So that's the key to doing all of that, is use the journals, something like that. Like, I really believe in a written calendar. Go to Walmart, get one of those just cheap daily planners if you want. And then inputting it into Google Calendar, because then I have it on my phone and I can look at that during the day. And the other key to doing this is when I watched like a training, it was like Creative Live or something, on how to time block, because I didn't understand what they meant. But it's keeping appointments with yourself, and you have to do that. So if I have an appointment at noon, these people show up and knock on my door at noon. I can't be like, hey, it's 12:30. I'll just get to you whenever, And same with like a doctor's office. You have your doctor's appointment. The doctor has to see, allegedly they're supposed to see you at that appointment time. And that's how you stay on task. So those appointments that you have phone calls and sessions, those are non-negotiables. But for some reason, we all negotiate away the other things: exercise, eating, editing videos, whatever it is that you're trying to do, especially the healthier stuff. When you're running a business, you quickly just negotiate away sleep, eat, exercise, all those things that are vital to staying on top of this stuff. And so keeping those appointments with yourself. My beef jerky appointment today, I kept with myself. I had a couple other things.
Well, you really wanted some beef jerky to eat too, let's be honest.
I do, but if I didn't keep that thing, I had an appointment at 3. Like, we had a session at 3, and so they would have come, and then right after that, I had to start getting ready to do this, and we're still fucking late. Like, I had to start setting all that stuff. So I knew if I did not do that beef jerky at that time, it wasn't going to happen. I had some flexibility in there because that thing that I was going to do with Zoe at one point went away. So it opened up my calendar a little bit for the day. So I stopped by and saw my friends at the bicycle store, but I was still like, I have to walk out of here at a certain time to go grab our lunch, come home, eat that while I have a dog out. And actually, that's where, when I came home, you were riding the bike and the baby was in the thing. And I was like, I could stay closer to my schedule. Hit that button again, please. I could stay on my schedule if I don't pick that baby up out of that little swing.
Or if you didn't go stop by the bike shop.
No, I was still on schedule there. But yeah, because I came home at the same.
But you could have had time with Zoe and stayed on schedule.
Yeah, but she was probably sleeping earlier. My point being is that I came home when I wanted to, and walked in the door. I walked in the door at the time I was supposed to, and then realized that you're riding the bike and she's hanging out there, so I could spend time with her. And I chose to push something else and then just bring the dog out, because I basically had like no dog being trained while it was like beef jerky, dog, and then not dog training. I just combined those two. So you have some, my point being is you have some flexibility, but really keep the appointment with yourself. That beef jerky was at 2:00 and I didn't want to be late for my beef jerky appointment because I knew how long it would take. And then again, that's, and if you're really diligent with it, that's how because otherwise that wouldn't have gotten done today. Like I just laid out, if I didn't do that, the session would have happened, then this would have happened. And then, something with the baby or like that time would have gone all away. And at the end of the night, when we're done with this, and then we go do dogs, and I would have been like, fuck, I didn't do that beef jerky. Let me try to put it on the schedule for tomorrow. And then that's where your next schedules just get impacted. And what happens to your brain when it gets impacted? It just shuts down. You just go, there's too much stuff to do and I can't do any of it. I can't
well, or you get complacent and you're okay with like pushing it off and you're just like, fuck it, I'll just do it tomorrow.
Yeah, and then too many things get pushed off to do tomorrow, and now you have too big of a list. So that's what I think our final little topic is on this, is to-do lists, making to-do lists. And so that's what I like about the Best Self journals, is they help you schedule your goals. There's usually 3 of them for the period of time of that journal, which is about 13 weeks. And so my goal is to do this with Gold Hill Canine, take us in this other path that we want to add to it, of adding value for dog trainers. So to do that, that's a goal. And then I have my other business personally, which is Remedy Creative and the syndicate and all that stuff. I need to figure out where to do that. I'm a fucking business coach put me on a timeout, so I can't do anything for 3 months. But no, I'm just kidding. She said I could, but I don't have time to. So I'm hyper focused on this right now because I think it's really, really important. But I do have that other business that I want to do, and then my own health habits. So those were my 3 goals for this time period. So knowing what my goals are and knowing then for the week what that looks like. What do I need to do for this week? It was finally get this production schedule a little bit more cohesive and figure out when to post stuff, how it makes sense to market this, and obviously do this live and then capitalize off the live after it. We've been doing some blog posts. Liz wrote the blog posts, and we're going to be putting those up on the website. We have a podcast that'll be a part of this, so you can just listen to it on any podcast platform. So knowing where we want to go within that, you have your overall goal, which is do this for Gold Hill Canine, and then the like weekly goals or monthly goals of this is what it looks like, this is what needs to be accomplished, and then having those to-do lists. Listening to Andy Frisella, he has something called the power list, and I like the concept of it. I don't use the same amount of numbers that he does, but I agree with what he was saying. When you write a to-do list of 20 or 30 things, you can't work through that. Mm-hmm. It's too much. So I think like having that somewhere, I just have like notes. So it's like, if I think of something, I'm like, shit, I need to get this done. It's not something I need to do today. It's just, I don't want to forget about this thing.
Yeah.
So I'll put it on there.
Liz's bike.
Yeah. Oh, that has been a year, has it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing with projects. That project is more than just.
Sorry.
God, you're just hitting me fucking all like hold on, let me get my time block here. Let me write this in there. Where's the camera?
Let me just write my emotions down for this. Sorry.
That goes in my other journal, how I feel about Liz every day. No, but she's not wrong. The garage thing, but I know the garage is a bigger fucking project, and right now I have 0 time to do that. So fuck that garage. But yes, I need to also have Liz's bike painted and put together.
I just know it's probably on your list somewhere.
It is. It's actually on my list to schedule that and then work with the vendors, because that is part of my company that I want to do is building custom bikes, and I need to highlight that. So I could just, not to digress too much, but I could just send that down there to get painted, and it'll come back, and I will have wasted several $1,000s on something I can never get back. I want to capture that whole process of building a custom bike. You can have a blue bike tomorrow if you want. So that's up to you. But if we want to do what we were doing out of it, I have put that on hold, unfortunately for you. And to understand, poor little Liz here, you have a race bike. It's
yes.
not like Liz doesn't have a bike.
Yeah.
You have a pretty awesome bike that has all new sparkly parts on it. But I have some plans for that stuff and planning that stuff. That's again, now once this monster is tamed a little bit and this is a little bit more smooth running over the next month or so, and I really have the workflow for that, then your bike will get planned. I will schedule how to get down there. No, trust me, because like those are the things that are important to talk about on those to-do lists. Those things, if you don't start crossing them off in time, they do weigh on you. Don't think that garage doesn't weigh on my mind, especially every time I open the fucking door. But even when I don't open the door, I know that garage is there, and I know that our front yard is there and our backyard is there, and I know these things are occurring. So those are other plans and other goals that will be met at some point when this stuff gets through and we have a little more breathing room there too. So, but things like your bike, that will weigh on your mind if you don't write it down, say, I know that, and then start planning. If that is truly something that I do need to do and I do want to do, then I need to start time blocking and planning. How is that going to be accomplished?
Well, and breaking it down, right? I think Laura has a really good blog post. Yeah, we can probably find that. I looked at it years ago, and actually it helped me break down my big overall goals when I started my dog training business, and I
Yeah.
probably used the same process doing Lux Imagery, is breaking those big goals into smaller chunks, and then those smaller chunks into daily actions, or like weekly actions and then into daily actions. Because if you look at a goal, and this is probably a whole other topic, but if you look at a
We can
goal
write that down.
and you're like, it's almost overwhelming if you look at this overall goal and you don't know necessarily how to accomplish it. But if you break it down into like the daily actions, you can actually get to the overall goal.
Yeah. And that's why I like that best self journal. I've actually studied quite a few of them. I've probably had 6 or 7 different ones, seeing which ones I like better. And then they all have their strengths and weaknesses. This is the best system I've found.
I just like blank pieces of paper, and those are fine too. I
That
really
works for
don't
you.
need a
Yeah.
journal.
Because your mind is actually capturing all that stuff, and you have that plan. I literally have to write that stuff down. Otherwise I don't, my brain doesn't work that way. I have way too many, like this, that I can go here, I can get that. And I'll chase them all and then not attain very few of them. So this, putting everything else to the side and just focusing on the 3 things I need to focus on, because otherwise what I'm a slave to right now is I have a garage that needs to be cleaned. It's a disaster. I have a van that we were going to build out. I have a front yard that has no landscaping and a backyard that has no landscaping, and then a boat that Liz made me buy.
I'm pretty sure I told you not to buy that.
You didn't know I was going to buy it.
Or the motorcycle that he just bought. That
Oh yeah,
has
that
the
motorcycle.
pieces.
Put the fucking plastics on that. That guy ripped me on that one, man. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You don't have a license or a title
talking about? I got
transferred over.
A license? I have a motorcycle's license.
How? But that hasn't expired.
It's my driver's license.
Oh,
You've never ridden a motorcycle? Yeah, it's just an endorsement on your driver's license.
I thought it would expire after a certain amount of time.
No, I ride a motorcycle. It's like falling off a bike. Just you're going faster. No, but yeah, it has to get registered and all that stuff. Or I might use it for track days. I haven't really decided. That's a whole other thing. Yeah. What?
I'm gonna wait till we're not live streaming.
What? I wanted to do track days my whole life.
Okay.
I don't know why that was an issue.
It's not an issue. I was gonna make a comment, but it's not meant for live streaming.
Okay. I don't think we have a mute button. Yeah, I don't know where those are. But all of those things weigh on my mind if I don't start planning that out. So the Best Self company also has some like project planner things. Like it's a flip book I have that's nice. I actually have one, Liz's bike, and here's the steps. And you can be way more detailed on a project than what the journals do.
Yeah.
But the journals do a really good job of what you just laid out, of saying, these are my 3 goals for this period. It's a quarter, basically, like 13 weeks. This is the goals. These are the 3 things I'm going to focus on. Not 4, not 6, not 12. These are the 3 big categories I'm going to focus on. And then every week, how do I get towards those goals? And then every day, how do I get towards those things that I said for the week? That is what has truly helped with getting this thing launched. Because I'll be honest, if I didn't start doing that, like I said earlier, this would not have happened. It couldn't have. And so that's been really good to just focus on those things. Having that to-do list of like just writing a bunch of stuff down is great, but that shouldn't be your daily to-do list. It's too much stuff. So I like about 3 things. Andy Frisella talks about, I think, 5 on the power list, maybe 8, something like that. I think it was 5 for the power list. And 5, his premise was write down those 5 things. If they're habits, like work out twice a day, cross those off. And then that after 21 days, I think is what he said, it becomes a habit. And now you can move that off that daily list, the to-do list. So if that's what it was, follow an eating plan, his whole 75 hard challenge. But that is a great way to do that. So I have my daily, and the Best Self journal has daily habit trackers. You can write in as many things as you want. So I have workout 3 times a week, ride my bike 3 times a week. Haven't done any of that yet. Drink a gallon of water, do the ice bath, do the breathing thing in the morning, all of that stuff. So I'm tracking how many days I do that versus my goal kind of thing for those when you're trying to build habits. So it's kind of great. And then incorporates all of that. But instead of having a to-do list that I look at, that thing on my phone, I don't almost ever look at except when I'm going, okay, what are some things on here I need to like get off that list. So then I'll move those to these are the 3 things I need to get today. For me, 3 things overall. And that works really, really well. And then when you're done, like you can look back and see that's what I accomplished. And that's how all of this stuff ties together. You have a to-do list, you have all your goals laid out. You have a plan for that stuff, your to-do list for the day, and don't overwhelm yourself. That's my biggest issue with all of this is and that's probably why I move away from this stuff. One reason I move away from this stuff. The other way that I get off this habit is by travel or something that's out of the ordinary. If I'm traveling all day, like drive my daughter up to go back to college, I didn't write in the journal that day. I didn't time block that day, even though the whole day was like a 14-hour drive. I didn't do that. And then it just goes away. And then while I'm up there moving her in and stuff, I wasn't using that daily journal. And then it just dropped off the habit and I come back home and I'm out of practice. So even on a day like that, we're flying to Iowa soon. I should write on that day, this is the flight. This is what I'm going to do before we leave. Sure, I'm on a plane all day, but what am I going to do when I get there? Write that and keep up on
What are you
plan.
doing on the plane ride?
Yeah, sleeping, hoping that baby don't scream. So, yeah, maybe I want to read 10 pages. I have a hard time reading on a plane. I just fall asleep. But
it's like the best place to read.
You
don't have your phone to distract you. You don't have anyone else talking to you, and you have white noise blocking out.
It's
everything.
a boredom thing. I read something that says when you're bored. Brains like me, when I bored, it immediately makes me tired and I go to sleep because I have very rarely am I bored, and so now I'm bored.
You can't pick up your phone on the.
I don't. Yeah, it's definitely. But I've done it even before like phones were a real thing on planes and stuff. So it's just I don't know what it is, but yeah, boredom makes me go to sleep. So it rarely happens. So, but yeah, I'll have to time block that stuff to stay on top of that. Yeah. But really being diligent about this and really getting a system for yourself is super vital to moving forward and feeling like your day isn't just gone. So I think that was the point of all of this is obviously like, huh?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Is scheduling your sanity and how to do that and just being really hyper protective of your time, setting good boundaries for yourself, using your to-do list to figure out what your day looks like on top of the other non-negotiables for the day, and then time blocking your day, making appointments with yourself and being really diligent about staying on those things. And at the end of the day and the end of the week, you'll look back and go, holy shit, I accomplished so much more. And like I was just saying, that was the other reason I moved away from this. I just tried to fit too many things in a day. I was like, I got all this time and like I can't edit a video, shoot a video, train dogs, do beef jerky, and I still am struggling with that. I'm still trying to find that balance because I think where my brain works too is if I don't put a lot of stuff on there, I feel like I'm being lazy and I feel like I'm not going to get the things done. In reality, you won't get those things done, and you're far more prone to having them not happen than if you just go these 3 things and maybe 2 of them are simple things. Maybe shooting the video is going to be a 2-hour project, but the 2 other things can be make beef jerky and train a dog, whatever it is. I know how long the dog's going to be to train, but it's still, I wouldn't account for that. I wouldn't go, oh, that's one of my 3 things because that's easy. And so you really will overextend yourself and you will move away from this system much, much faster. So those are the 2 pitfalls with this. That's how I find I move away from it. So I'm being way better at keeping up on it on my down days. And then also not trying to do too much, stick to that. So these are all of our tips for Liz hit that wall. I'll show you what her face looks like right there. So there it is. That's I hit the wall face. And yeah, so awesome.
Yeah.
Good job, babe. And the baby cooperated for the most part tonight.
I know.
Our fucking internet didn't cooperate. Once. So I really hope that we didn't just talk for mostly an hour and 49 minutes and none of it's recorded. Well, it'll be on a podcast. We got that. And I actually have the video here that we could use later, but it won't be on YouTube Live if that glitched on us. So more technical stuff to work out. And I didn't take a single fucking note of times of where we're like, we said something good to clip out later. That was something we're supposed to be doing later. Yeah. Get that on the next one.
Next time.
Yeah. So on that note, we'll get you on the next one.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.